for that. So we're going to move on to our next item. Mr. Aaron Odo. He's a consultant for small business setup and entrepreneur. I tell you, this man has a lot of businesses. And you see, he looks so simple. You say this one don't have money, but this man he has money, he has the brain. So let's welcome him.
Thank you. Hallelujah. I'm grateful to be in your presence today. It's a little difficult for me to be in front of all you wonderful people, but I'm going to do my best to give as much as I can. It's a familiar environment for me. I'm a child of God, first of all, before anything. So if I end up preaching, please forgive me. Before I start, I'd want us to say a short prayer, if that is okay. If we can close our eyes to say a short prayer. Father, Lord, we thank you for today. I give you glory for the opportunity to be in the presence of all these wonderful people. I pray and subdue myself under your anointing. I ask that, Lord, you guide me. I pray that I will not talk or speak from my flesh, but whatever I say shall be impacted by the presence and the mighty name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. Wow. I'm still trying to come out of a shock. Today happens to be my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
And I'm blessed to celebrate my birthday with all you wonderful people, women of purpose. It's really a blessing. I happen to know quite a number of people here. I didn't know I was coming to meet all you wonderful people. When Mama Joyce told me to come, I thought it was going to be just something quick and short and then I can run away. And then when I came, I realized it was bigger than I thought. So I had to quickly readjust and then prepare for this. So I'm going to do my best. I'll go ahead to say a few things. And then after that, I'll introduce a few things pertaining to business. I lay my foundations in God, first of all. Before I say anything business, it's the only reason why I've come this far. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here. So I'm going to say a few things from the Bible first, that are foundation. Pretty much, they will run through most of the things that I'm going to be saying. And then after that, we would ask a few questions. I'll first of all ask, Mama Joyce, how much time do I have? 30 minutes. I'll try. Please prompt me when I'm going too fast or when I'm taking too much time. Can we project Philippians? First of all, let me go to Genesis 1:28. Genesis 1:28. And then it says, God blessed them and then said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and then subdue it. Rule over the fish and the sea, and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature. That moves on the ground. And then Philippians 4:13. Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through him who gives me strength. And then Proverbs 18:16. Proverbs 18:16. A gift opens the way and then ushers the... Thank you. All right. A man's gift, other interpretations will say a man's gift opens the way and then ushers the giver into the presence of great men. Your gifts will make room for you and will lead you into the presence of great men. And then Matthew 25:14-30, or through 30. I will not read the whole thing, but I'll just capture a few things that I'd want us to know here. God has given each of us talents according to our abilities. So in all of us seated here, we have special talents embedded in us. And what you do with your talent will determine how far you go in life. I learned it the hard way, but I've come to appreciate it. That God didn't just create you to come and work, pay bills, die, and then go, or have kids and then go. He created you for a purpose, for His purpose. God cannot do anything on earth except true human beings. And He put that in you to make you useful for His purpose. So He created trees. But in trees, we have furniture. He created the sea. In the sea, we have many things that are consumable to man to keep us alive. He created oranges. In oranges, we get juice. And He created you. And in you, He's embedded a lot of gifts that you are yet to identify or have already identified. And it's up to you to use this gift to benefit others. Most often than not, the gifts that are embedded in us are not for our use. They are not to enrich us. They are to bless others. So identify the gift in you and then make sure that you are emptying yourself to be a blessing unto others. And in the process, God will enrich you. In the process, wealth will come your way. I would go ahead to go over Matthew 25, 14 through 30. Okay, that we've read. And then 25, 23 to be specific. I'll set you over much. So pretty much, let's read the 25, 23. So, commending his servant, the master replied, "You have done well and then proven yourself to be my loyal and then trustworthy servant. Because you were faithful to manage a small sum, now I will put you in charge of much. Much more, you will experience the delight of your master, who would say to you, 'Come and celebrate with me.'" Now, in our small workplaces or in our very private lives, God entrusts us with things. God is interested in management. Now, if God can trust you with the small things that you have now, the small job that you have that is paying you $10 an hour, $25 an hour, if you can manage those well, God can trust you with $1 million. Now, until God can identify, I tell people that if God had given me the wealth I have now, when I was 17 years, I wouldn't live to see this day. I would have messed up. I would have died in the process. But He nurtured me and then brought me up through struggles, through challenges, through failures, to the point where He knew, identified that I was ready to manage more, and then He blessed me with more. So get to know that whatever it is, whatever challenges that you might be going through, God is a lover of people that can manage their resources, can manage their lives very, very well. And in the process of you managing your life well, managing your resources well, He blesses you with more. Because like the master just told the servant, if you've been faithful with little, I can trust you with more. Yeah. And then we'll go to Proverbs 3, 5 through 6. In all your doings, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Proverbs 3, 5 through 6. Okay, so make your trust in God with so trust in the Lord completely and do not rely on your own opinions. With all your heart, rely on Him to guide you, and He will lead you in every decision you make. If you don't trust in God, if you don't have your faith built in God, if you don't have your foundation built in God, I don't care how much you have in you, I don't care how much gifts God has embedded in you, you will fail. And that is it's a hard truth a lot of people will not want to hear. But until you've built your foundation in God, you are going to fail. We see a lot of people that we feel are worldly, but in their closets, you have no idea the relationships that they have with God. Jeff Bezos, one of them, the owner of Amazon, we see him to be worldly, but in his closet, you have no idea the relationship he has with God. My parents, my aunties, and all, they continue to pray into my life every day, and I know it, and I feel it. And I tell my friends who see me doing certain things and then succeeding in the process that don't look at my lifestyle, look to God. Because if you look at me, the grace that I have is different from yours. Possibly, if you follow my path, you will fail or you might die. Because the failures I've been through, the struggles I've been through, you might not be able to withstand. But if only you would rely on God, if only you would seek God, understand his will for you, understand the talents that is embedded in you, and then follow through with that, definitely you're going to be successful. Okay. Ecclesiastes 3:11. Ecclesiastes 3:11. It's a very long one. I'm not going to read all, but I'm just going to introduce it, and then we're going to build off on it. This perfectly wise plan was destined from eternity, ages, and fulfilled completely in our Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, so let's go to the 1 through 8. Sorry. 1 through 8. 1 through 8. Okay. Okay, not a problem. Please take your time. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Okay, and then, okay, 1 through 8. Yes, 1 through 8. So everything is utterly boring. No one can find the meaning of, okay, not that. Okay, so let 3, verse 1 through 8. I'm sorry, I misled you. I'm really sorry. 3, verse 1 to 8. There's an opportune time to do things, a time for everything on earth. Let's continue. 2, a right time for the births and another for a right time for birth and another for death, a time to plant and a time to reap. 3, a right time to kill and a time to heal, a right time to destroy and another to construct. The right time to cry and another to laugh. The right time to lament and another to cheer. The right time to make love and another to abstain. The right time to embrace and another to part. The next one. The right time to search and another to count your losses. The right time to hold and another to let go. A right time to rip and another to mend. The right time to shut and another to speak. The 8th one, the right time to love and another to hate. The right time to wage war and another to make peace. There's a time for everything in this life. If it is not your time, don't be worried. Just continue working at what God has put in your hands. I've been in this country for only 10 years. Now, in my first few years, I failed miserably. My dad instructed me to do my master's when I came here. I chose not to do it because a lot of school is not for everybody. I did my basics in mechanical engineering, and for me, that was enough. I started my master's. I felt at a point in time that I was wasting time in the classroom. I was gifted enough to be able to, I just have to see you do something once, and I can repeat it the next time. That is my gift. So I told my counselors at a point in time, after we did a thesis, I presented, and they were very, very delighted. And I told my counselor at a point in time that, hey, I think that I'm in the wrong class. I think I don't belong here. I'm like, Mr. Doom, what do you mean? You're doing very well. You are an inspiration to... I did projects in oil and gas for a while, for close to 8 years. So I had a lot of background experience. So for the younger ones that are just coming from college, I was a good resource because I shared a lot with them that they didn't know. So I told my counselor that I don't think I belong to this class. He was like, no. And I was like, so why do you think I belong to this class? And then he told me that I think that if you obtain your master's, you'll be able to make more money in finding a better job. And I'm like, that is my problem. I don't want to make a dime more. I want to own the business that will pay somebody a dime more. Exactly. Now, in identifying yourself in God, in identifying your talent in God, in praying to God about the things you want in your life, be very deliberate. Don't be apologetic. The world doesn't know where you're going. Sometimes they might say things about you. Sometimes they might even try, when you share your dreams with the wrong people, people would water your dreams down. They will kill your dreams. But talk to God. And in talking to God, be very specific. God, I want to be a billionaire by the time I'm 40 years. and continue praying about that. Have a vision. Stick to your vision. God would pretty much release your vision in phases in life. He will take you through the first phase. It might not be a nice phase, but still stick to the vision. He will take you through the next phase. It might not be a nice vision, but still stick to it. At a point in my life when I was feeling, my colleagues that were in the IT industry were like, hey, Aaron, you're too smart for this. Why won't you come into the IT industry? I told them no. I got into human service by default. Somebody introduced me to it, and I asked, what is human service? I've never heard of it before. And then they told me what it was. I left my job that was paying me over $21 then, and then I came to take $12.50. And I did that for a purpose. I had a plan. I had a short-term plan, and I had a long-term plan. I had to lose something to gain what I wanted to. I had to give up something to come to where I really wanted to be able to do the things I wanted to do. Now, I started as an entry DSP, just like everybody else. And then I asked my supervisor, who is over 60 years, then that, hey, Tanner, how do I become a manager in this sector? And then he asked me, son, what's your background? And then I told her, and I was like, no, I'm sorry. It was just after, we're still coming after a recession, there was competition for managerial jobs. And it was like, even those that have psychology and all that are struggling to move up. I don't see a path for you here. I think you should go back to engineering. I was challenged. One of the things God has blessed me with is for you to just tell me I can't do it. And it awakens something in me. I'll prove you wrong. I'll prove to you that I can do it. So they put me in teams where people tell me, oh, Aaron, I don't think that we can do this. The question I ask you is, has somebody done it? If somebody has done it, we can do better. So let's get to it. Now, when Tana, my supervisor then, told me that, hey, this is not for you, I went to work. I started learning. I started doing inside tutorials. I went into their software, and I started seeing how people do documentation. This is something I've never done in my life before. And within 2-3 months, I was a lead staff. They saw me worthy and then promoted me to be a lead staff. Within 6 months, I became a manager. Within a year and a half, I was a senior manager. Within 2.5 years, I was a director of operations. By the time I left, 3 years, 4 months, I was a senior director of operations with one of the biggest human service industry group homes. They have about 200 individuals. They have about 24 homes, 3 big day programs, and vocational programs. I was the backbone of the business before I left. Now, when I got to the place where I thought that I should be, I mean, God takes you through phases, and you should understand, don't be too comfortable in any position you find yourself in life. God will put you through certain places for a reason. Now, I identified my purpose, and I knew exactly what time to exit. Exactly 3 years, 6 months. I told myself that it was time to leave. When I told my CEO then, who is white? If he was African, they'll say, oh, because he's African, you have favor with him. This is a pure white. I'd never met him in my life. But I had so much favor with him, he was willing to do anything to keep me. And I told him, no, I'm on a mission, and I really have to go. And then they were worried. They were like, hey, how are you going to pay your insurance? How are you going to do? I was like, I don't know, but I'm just going to jump, and God will determine the rest. So I left, and my first partnership went bad. I lost everything. I lost everything. My second partnership wasn't good, but I kept my eyes on the big prize. God was taking me somewhere, and I knew exactly where he was taking me, and I was willing to endure the process or enjoy the process. Now, when you became a director, you enjoyed it. Why won't you enjoy the failures? Now, we as Christians normally see failures as a setback from God or from the devil. No. It is a process. It's a learning process. They are stepping stones for you to become better. Now, the mistakes that I did then, when I had nothing, if I do those same mistakes now, it will cost me millions of dollars. I can't afford it. I might just collapse. But God allowed me to make those mistakes then. I saw them as misfortunes. I saw them as failures. Oh, I failed. I'll do this again. No, I didn't do that. I kept my eyes on the bigger prize. God was taking me somewhere. I just needed to trust the process. And then as I went, people came, hey, won't you come and join the IT? Okay, I'll do the class. I did the class. The certifications are there. I didn't do anything with that. I still kept to what I was doing. I went back into the industry, Uber. I did whatever I could do to just get myself exactly back where I dropped off. Did Uber, went back into the industry to become a manager, and then gradually I started picking myself up again. Now, the things that helped me are the gifts that God embedded in me. I've learned to do certain things. I do more than my employer pays me to do. Some people will say, hey, is the business for your father? Hey, why are you doing so much? They pay you just X amount of money. Why are you working so much? I mean, why won't you put, no. My purpose was to learn as much as I could. The same people that told me that, hey, this is not your father's business and all that, when I became a director, they were seeking favors from me. And I'm like, hey, you told me that this business is not for my father. Now I'm here. And you've been here. You've been in this industry 20 years before I even entered it. But it's because of attitude towards work. My supervisors were always looking in my direction because I was always one step ahead of myself. When I was a lead staff, I was picking things off my supervisor's table. Hey, can I help with this quarterlies? Hey, can I help with that? I'll stay very late and then do things that are not part of my responsibility. My supervisors were seeing it at any given time when there was opportunity to move up. They were like, Aaron is ready. Call him to this, and then let's give him the position. And within 3 years, people that had been there for 15 years were still struggling to become managers. Within 3 years, in an industry where I didn't even have a degree, I had become a director and was one of the highest paid. Your gift would make room for you and will take you before great men. My gifts made room for me. I did things that I didn't have to do. I brought my engineering into this. I started organizing fleets when I wasn't paid to do it. At the end of the day, they trusted me with everything in the business. If I didn't write checks, finance can cash money. If I didn't approve, programming can open new homes. If I didn't approve, HR can hire anybody. I fired, I hired. I had everything at my disposal from nothing, and I had no degree, not even a CNA in that industry, just because somebody told me, you can't do it. And I knew in me that God has blessed me with everything I needed to be successful. Now, there's a funny prayer I normally say when I go for interviews. And I shared that with one of my friends recently, and then he laughed. And then it was like, there's a truth to it. Now, I have an iPhone. This iPhone is manufactured by Apple. Before they send this out for you to buy, now, they put a warranty on this. And the only reason why a manufacturer will put a warranty on a phone as expensive as this is because they are very sure that this will stand the test of time. So they will tell you that if a default during its warranty, put it back in the box, ship it back to us, and we'll either repair or replace it because they are sure of their products. Now, when I go for interviews, I have a funny thing I do with God. I tell God that I'm a representation, and anywhere I go, I announce my presence as a child of God. One of the interviews that I went to, I did something very funny. I was laughing. I was not prepared for the interview. So whilst I was sitting in the lobby waiting for my turn, we were 7 in number, waiting for the interview. And then I told God, whilst I was laughing, just talking to myself, that God, I've announced that you are my father. And anything that happens today, others will see to also seek to find you. So I'm your son. If you don't glorify yourself in me, the shame will come back to you. I'm a vessel. I'm just the iPhone. If the iPhone doesn't function well, Apple is going to get backlash. People are going to stop buying Apples. Now, if I get disgrace in this process, people are going to see and be like, where was your God? Because I declared my stand. I was praying in the lobby, silent to myself, but others could hear me. So I'm sure that somebody was saying, hey, shut up. Are you the only person who knows God and all that? But I didn't relent. I said it anyway. I laughed it off, and then I entered the room. When I entered, I was the third person. Pretty much it was a conversation. The interview became a conversation. And then when I left, one of the people that went after me was like they had made somebody's interview a standard, and pretty much the person's name was coming up in the interview. Aaron said, Aaron did this, Aaron did that. So whilst he was talking to me, I was smiling. And then he was like, I asked him, what is your name? He mentioned his name. And then I told him, well, I'm Aaron. And then he was like, you, what did you do inside there? It seems you raised the marking scheme. And I'm like, I just went and I had fun. My God just had his way. I didn't prepare for this interview, truth be said. But God had a way of taking me through every struggle to the point where he brought me to where I am today. My setbacks have been very, very heavy. 3 years back, I lost everything. All my accounts were in the negative. Everything I'd worked for in this country was gone. And I had to start all over again. I was depressed. 3 months, I didn't want to talk to anybody. And I had to start all over again. Start building everything. To the glory of God, today, I can say that I have 4 strong businesses and still adding to it. Now, I say that not to say I've done anything with my flesh. I'm just man, I'm just a vessel. I'm just being used by God. The things I do, I don't do for myself. I do for people, other people to benefit from, to be blessed, and all that. Now, with that being said, I'll go back to a few things that I would want us to identify whilst trying to start a business. Now, in all of us is talent, like I already stated. Identify your talent. Identify your gifts. And then start giving your gifts for free. If you know how to cook, start trying a few things. Give it to people in church for free. Let people identify your gifts. If you know how to sing, don't come to church saying that I want to sing for the church to pay me. Sing for free. Do it for free. Do it for God. And in the process of doing it, somebody would see you. God will put your financier somewhere that he would find you. And in the process, will catapult you into success. So whatever you find yourself doing for God, don't ask for money. Because if God really wants to tax us for all the things he blesses us for, I just ask somebody, if God wants to put a meter to our nose that we pay for, the same way we tax our fellow man, hey, you owe me, I want my payback and stuff like that. How many people are able to stay alive? How much do I make? How much can I pay? But we get all of this for free. And sometimes we should learn to give our talents and gifts for free. Whatever he has embedded in you, he knows you can, whatever hits you, he knows you can withstand it. He will not bring anything your way that is more than what you can carry. So first of all, identify a vision for whatever you want to do. America, fortunately for us, is one of the biggest markets that we have in the world. Anything that you sell, as long as you brand it well, you know your targeted audience, and you are able to reach them, trust me, it would sell. Yeah. Anything. I don't care what it is, as long as it's consumable to human beings, and you can know your audience, brand it well, and then put it out there, trust me, it's going to sell, and it will bring you success. So identify a vision. If you don't have a vision, the wind will carry you anywhere you go. The wind would come today, IT, you're going. Tomorrow, nursing, you're going. The next day, hey, there's this software, what, you're going. But if you have a vision, you are purposed, you are on track, you are on well. People would come in and tell you things, but you know exactly where you're going. Now, through your failures and through the setbacks and all that, keep your eyes on the prize. Whatever the price is, you know it. It is between you and God. Keep your eyes on the prize. Don't take your eyes off. Now, immediately you take your eyes off, you're telling God, I don't think you have the capability to take me to where I'm going. Let me trust in man. And the Bible says, cursed is a man who puts his what? Trust in man. Trust God throughout don't let anything sort of come in the way and then let you feel like, oh, God is not able to do it. It is time. It is time. And in his own time, well, people look at me today and say, oh, 3 years ago, you had lost everything. And then in 2 years, you are back in asset over $5 million. Now, if I didn't fail, I wouldn't have come this far. Now, I'd learned many ways not to fail again in my failures. There were setbacks. I don't call them failures. I'd learned so many ways not to fail again. Whilst I was failing, well, I failed at this. The next time when I'm going through this path, I'll learn to move the other way so that I don't have to fall in the same pit. So I'd learned so many ways. So when people come and then they say, hey, Aaron, I'd want to do the things that you've done in a short while, I ask them, the things I've suffered, are you willing to suffer them? Jesus Christ had the glory, right? But before he was glorified, he was crucified on the cross. How many people are willing to put nails in their palms or in their feet? How many people are willing to? So if you see any rich person, don't just look at him driving a nice car or being in a nice house and then wish that you were like him. Now, if he tells you that, well, there were times when I felt like killing myself, or I even killed myself, and then God brought me back. Or I lost everything. I lost my wife, I lost my kids and everything. Are you willing to go through the same? Ask God to give you your own. Thank God for their lives. When you see them, thank God, oh God, I thank you for this person. He's an inspiration. I pray that you give me something within my strength, within my gifts, within my purpose, your purpose for my life. And trust me, God would always come true for you. Now, there are a few things that I would want to identify quickly because my time here is very, very limited. So there are a few things that I'd want us to quickly identify to be able for women of purpose, every one of us, especially in America, want to have financial independence. Now, what are you willing to do to get there? Folding of hands, doing the same job every day, and just moving through the motions is not going to get you there. Like I stated from the beginning, be purposeful in what you ask God and stick to the course, no matter what the failures are. Now, you do certain things sometimes to get you to the point where God is taking you, but still keep your eyes on the big prize. Now, one of the people that I read about, I read a lot. Now, when I understood the direction in which God was taking me, I started identifying people that were on the same path. And I started reading about them. I identified friends that had the same strength. So I have just a few friends. I have a lot of acquaintances, but I have just a few people I call friends. And they influence who I am. When I'm in the presence of my friends, they make me look like I'm a failure. And that motivates me to do more. Whenever I'm in the midst of a set of friends, and I feel like I'm the best amongst them, I change my friend settings. I always want to be in the position where I feel like I have not arrived. And I keep pushing myself. I keep sacrificing a lot. When I was working for others, during the day, I'm working for somebody. During the night, between 12 and then 4 a.m., I'm working for myself. I'm setting my goals. I'm working on my documents and all that. And within a couple of years, the time that I spent at night working for myself paid off. Now, it's a sacrifice that a lot of people are not willing to make. How many people are willing to sacrifice their early mornings, where the sleep is the most nicest, to be doing something that you feel God wants you to do? If you're a pastor, praying. If you're a business owner, doing things, building things, writing reports, building your policies and all that, reading through everything, regulations and everything that will get you there. Make time for yourself. Even if you work 3 or 4 jobs, at least make time for yourself to start working on the things that will get you to exactly where God wants you to go. Now, I can be working at McDonald's. I can be working at Chick-fil-A. But in my quiet, you have no idea what I'm working on. So one day, if it comes that, hey, suddenly I have a multi-million-dollar business. Now, it might be that whilst you're sleeping, I'm awake. And the time has paid off. So in the quiet, you're building yourself. And in God's own time and season, He'll make the breakthrough come. Now, it is always better to be prepared for an opportunity than for an opportunity to come and find you unprepared. So always be willing, have something in hand. Your zero is a problem. If you don't have anything in hand, God can multiply. That's right. If you have something in hand, God is definitely going to multiply. And in His time, it would be like, oh, I just saw her. She was doing hair just a few years ago. Suddenly she's a millionaire. How did she get there? She was cooking and then giving out to people in the church for free. Suddenly she owns a restaurant. How did she get there? She was sweeping the church a few months ago. Suddenly he owns his own business, cleaning business. How did he get there? God is preparing you for a purpose. If only we would have the patience. A lot of us young people of today, we don't have the patience. How did he buy that Mercedes? I want to buy that as quickly as possible. You are eating your seeds before they bear fruits. Now, the money that you'd get, that you'd use to invest, we are buying iPhone 13s. When our paychecks are $1,300. We're buying iPhone 13s when our paycheck for the whole month is $1,300. We are buying Mercedes Benz, debts to our necks, when our paycheck for the whole month is less than $5,000. You pay your bills, you pay your rent or mortgage, you pay your car notes, you are owing before the next month starts. We have to learn to cut our coats according to our stages. We have to learn, don't look at others. We are easily influenced by what other people are doing. As young people, we see somebody driving something. Hey, I think that I should change my car. I think that I should change my phone. I want to go have the same thing. No. Stay humble. Stick to the basics. Build more, I call it like build more assets for yourself than liabilities. Stop buying things that take your money away and buy things that bring revenue to you. If I could invest a little in stocks every month, it's going to take me far. If I could do a little bit of the restaurant plan that I have, I'm buying chairs, I'm putting in storage. I'm buying fridge, I'm putting in storage. Gradually, you're going to get there. The day you open your restaurant, everybody's going to ask, hey, you work at McDonald's, how did you do it? It is a vision. Keep your eyes on the vision and trust God with the process. And just keep going. Don't eat your seeds before they bear fruits. It is so common of us to do. Stay humble. You don't have anything to prove to anybody in this life. You have nothing to prove to anybody. If you live with somebody and you're sharing an apartment with, that is what you can afford for now. Just stay to the course. When God's time is due, trust me, the things that he wants for you would come to pass. If a man has not come your way to ask for your hand in marriage, I want to say, hey, I'm growing too fast and I really need to do something. No. Sometimes we force God's hands. He's not ready for us, but we are forcing him. Now, he will grant it as long as you are asking, but it is not his will for you. It is not his will for you. You ask, hey, my daughter, you've come. Okay, you've come again. The same problem. Okay. I think that it's about time I grant it, but just know that this is not my will for you. I would watch you fail, and then you would come back, and then I'll show you the actual way to go. So please, whatever be the case, let's learn to be patient with God. And at his own time, he's going to make all things beautiful. I stated that your zero is a problem. Have something in hand for God to work with. So always be working towards something. Be working, prepare yourself for opportunities. Don't wait for the opportunities to happen before Lady Pastor comes and tells that, hey, there's somebody who needs a nurse as soon as possible. Years back, she told you, hey, can you go to nursing school? Start taking the courses gradually. And then suddenly, hey, this nurse job pays a lot. I told you to go to nursing school. Did you go? Oh, no, it didn't happen, Lady Pastor. Okay, they were going to pay you $1 million a year. But unfortunately, you are not ready. That opportunity is past. Now, if you were ready, if you prepared yourself for it, that opportunity comes your way. It catapults you to success. So always understand that you need to be working. Always have something in hand that God can work with. Okay? And then do more than you're paid to do. I've also stated that. And then identify problems in society. Identify problems in society. Now, entrepreneurship, when people ask me what is entrepreneurship, what I state is identifying problems in society and finding solutions to them. And in the process of finding solutions, wealth comes with it. Let's identify anybody. Jeff Bezos, Amazon. He saw a crack in retail and then started something new. that we're not used to. Now, today he's a billionaire. The owner of Apple, what's his name? Steve Jobs. He identified a process. Then it was mega frame computers that could occupy this whole room. Now, it was Bill Gates that started it. And then he was like, hey, I can do better. Let's create something that every child can have in their homes to be able to work with. And then he created the Macintosh. Today, when it comes to liquefied cash, they are the richest. They're one of the richest in the world. When it comes to Bill Gates, it was the same thing. Whilst he was in school, he identified a process. He was like, hey, he sold the software. He actually bought the DOS software from his mate in Harvard. He saw the thing. He saw an opportunity. His friend was just playing with things. He created a thing and he didn't know what it was for. And then he bought it. He paid his friend cash and then also bought the the franchise or whatever. There's a name for it that you can't ever come back to say that it is yours. And then he bought that too. And guess what he did? He went to pitch that to the company that he was working for then and told them that, hey, there's a software that we can use to do better instead of this paper punch things that we do. They didn't believe him. They were like, hey, this is crap. It won't work. And then he went, gathered a few people. He just had the purpose and knew who to bring together to be able to make it happen. And today, most of his friends are his employees. He's a billionaire. Identify what you're good at, and then trust God with the process. Now, in identifying problems, would also go to know your audience, know the people that you're selling, you intend to sell your services to. Is it Africans? Is it white? Is it Latinos? And package your product to meet their express needs. Don't just see anybody doing a business and say, because this person is doing it, I'm also going to do it. And then just throw money and effort into it. You might fail. Identify which audience are going to consume this package or this service that how am I going to package it to be able to attract their attention? Okay, so after I've drawn their attention, how am I going to make sure that I'm meeting their demands and stuff like that, and I stay relevant? From time to time, I'll change the color a little bit. From time to time, there was a soap in Africa then, Lux, produced by Unilever. I can count the number of times that it changed the wrap and not the perfume or the content of the soap. Unilever will just change the color of the wrap and then tell you that they reintroduced Lux onto the market. And Africans consumed this for so many years. It was just branding. They just knew their market. They just knew their targeted audience. And they knew how to keep them engaged. And as long as you keep them engaged, your product is going. You're buying it. You remain rich. So know your audience and then know how to keep them engaged. If you have a restaurant, it's the same thing. How am I going to package myself to ensure that people prefer my food? Why should I prefer your food over somebody else who's already here? It is how you package yourself. It is customer care. Make sure that you're putting all these things in place to make you relevant, to keep you relevant, so the market will keep coming back to you. And then the next one that I'd want to touch on, market with your targeted audience in mind. Basically, I've already touched on it, but always make sure that you are putting money into marketing. Now, social media is everything. Social media is everything. You have 4 or 5 followers, that is enough. They have 3 or 4 followers. So instead of the time that we use, we spend chatting with people unnecessarily, doing Facebooks, and then following people and then seeing what their lifestyle is and stuff like that. Use that creatively to promote the things or the purpose in your life. If it is business, how am I going to use, okay, I have 10 friends. Okay, so if I put whatever I'm promoting on Facebook, it means all my 10 friends are going to see. My 10 friends also have 12 followers, 15 followers. Just imagine how far your product or services are going to go with just 10 followers, because everybody has followers too. So instead of just Googling and watching TikTok with people, my thought process is, the person who created TikTok, how much money is he making whilst I'm watching? how much I'm spending time, 15 minutes, just looking at people's creations and all that. My question is, how much money is the owner who created TikTok making whilst I'm on there? So from time to time, I'll look at my screen time on my phone to see whether I'm being productive or not. So if I feel that out of 8 hours in a day, I do like 16 hours social media, it's a problem. I need to cut down my screen time. So there are times when I would go into areas and I'll intentionally, I own 4 businesses, I'm always on call, but I'll intentionally put my phone down. If somebody's dying, they'll find a way to reach me. Time that you should be spending with your family, your kids, your parents, and stuff like that. There was a time I'll be talking to my daughter, and then she'll be on the phone testing me the answers. And I was like, hey, Kayla, you're just 9 years. And you have already started testing me back answers and stuff like that. So I had to set rules in the house. Throughout the week, nobody carries a phone. That is a minor. The weekend, you have phone time. You abuse it, you lose it for 2 weeks. And in the process, my 9-year-old daughter found a way to become productive that I never even thought about. She's a good reader. And I always told her that I would ask her the same question, hey, how is this earning you money? The person who did it, do you know how much she's earning? And then she was like, Dad, can I go start working? I'm like, no, you're a minor. I'll be arrested if you start working. And then I was like, so how do I make money? And I'm like, think about it. I was like, no, the things that you do, I can't do. So how do I make money? I was like, just think about something and I'll guide you through the process. She's a very good reader. What I saw her do fascinated me. One time I came home, the mother told me that, hey, Kayla has done something that the teachers were so impressed about. And I was like, what did she do? She created an account on YouTube and then started reading. So he set up in my basement, that is an office, and then creatively read. And she's a good actor. She would watch a movie today, and she can act it so many times. So she'll creatively read and then be dancing where she needs to dance, be running where she needs to run. And her colleagues were so intrigued. They liked what she was doing. And then she was like, Dad, I have 10 followers now. What do I do with them? And I'm like, Kayla, you can't make money out of this. And the next moment, what I realized she was doing was that she put a subscription into her YouTube and then asked her friends to pay $1 a month to be able to access her creativity. If I knew the things she knew at that age, I'll become a multi-billionaire at this age. I saw a gift in her. I channeled it. I pretty much gave it direction. And then he created something that I never even thought about. Our brothers and sisters at home, our siblings that are living with us, our children and all that, when we see them going astray, don't say, oh, it is young people of today. This is what is evoked, so let's just leave them to be. No. The phone, it can take away a lot of your time. Recently, there was a whistleblower for Facebook that was saying how Facebook makes their money. Pretty much, they put content into their softwares to keep you addicted. And the more screen time that you make, the more money they make. So you are addicted every day. Oh, there's this fashion, there's this dress, there's this. And at the point in time, you do it effortlessly. You don't even realize that you are addicted. You just pick your phone up first in Facebook, and then you are there for 2 hours. Just, my friend, she did a wedding. And somebody else is making money off you. If you can just set up a market, Facebook market, and then also sell. Instead of spending the time to look at people's weddings, and the process depresses us. Because you are here saying that, when is a man coming to come my way to do this big Nigerian weddings? Everybody wearing a nice shirt and then dancing and then all that. Possibly that is not your path. But you are depressed. You are so consumed with it. And when the poor man is ready and comes your way, you want him to do something that is outside of his league. Yeah. I remember when I got married, I drove a pickup, my company pickup. I was able to get my friend's vehicle to go pick up my wife. And then I drove my company pickup, as dirty as it was. My dad was like, oh, wait, we'll find somebody to... I'm like, I don't have the time. Let me just drive there. The most important thing is that the bride has been given a comfortable ride. How I appear, how I get there is not a process. It's not a problem. The only thing is the vows I have to say. I'll say them comfortably and then just leave. I cut everything. Our honeymoon, we spent it in our home. My mom cooked, brought to us. We were happy. Now, the last time that I checked, I told my... And we've been through a lot of struggles as a couple. Now, the last time, I just looked at my wife and I told her that I feel that I need to appreciate you. You've gone the road with me through my failures, my setbacks and all that. You've been there. And I think that I need to appreciate you. Now, once in a while, we'll do vacations. So we'll get beach houses in North Carolina, Outer Banks, and then the whole family would go there quietly. Everybody put your phone on the table, and then everybody just interact. No phone conversations and stuff like that. We made it a culture. But last year, I felt strongly that there was something more that I should do to appreciate this woman. So I asked her if you'd want a car. What car would you want? And she was like, she's not a material person, unfortunately. And then she was like, she's very comfortable with what she already has. So I called my brother. And my brother helps me with my businesses. He's very good with numbers, so I involve him because with the pace at which I run, I don't have time to be looking at the numbers. So he pays attention to our numbers. So I told him, hey, let's appreciate our wives. What can we get them? And then he brought up an idea, and I'm like, okay, let's go for it. So we went, and then we pick up Acura MDXs 2022, and then we ribboned them, and then just went to park them in the driveways. Now, when she met me then, I was not as packaged as I am now. I wasn't. I was very slim. I'm sure if you saw me, you passed me by. I was very slim, not so attractive, with just a vision. All I had was a vision. And she was so convinced that I was consumed by this vision. And she was like, oh, even though doctors have come my way, whatever have come my way, I think that I like where you're going. I'll follow you regardless. I made a promise and I didn't even know how it was going to happen. I told her that, hey, the brother was bringing her to Ohio to come do her master's. And I promised her that I don't know how it's going to happen, but reject your brother's offer and I'll bring you to America. I just said it. I didn't know how it was going to happen. But there's one thing that I've learned to do. I speak the positive. I don't speak the negative. Because the Bible states that say the things that are not as though they were. It's your confession. If you speak it, it will come to pass. So don't tell somebody you are broke. Oh, I have cash problems, but it would be fine. Oh yeah, seriously. I won't tell you I'm broke. I will not mention the word broke. I have cash problems. Things will be fine. And I spoke then and didn't know how it was going to happen. In my frustration, I told God that my first child, because my parent had marital problems, and I told, out of frustration one day, I just prayed. And then I told God, no matter what happens, I don't want to have my kids in Africa. I said it and I slept crying. Many years back, somebody calls me, hey, you won a visa lottery? And I'm like, how? I never done the lottery before. I don't even believe in the process. Apparently, whilst I was in school, there was this photographer who comes and then we'll just do it. And then we just keep entering them multiple times. 5 years after I'd complete school. And then he brought it. I was like, hey, you want a visa? I'm like, no, I don't think you know who you're talking to. This is the wrong person. And then he brought me the thing. He looked at, this is you. And he showed me. I was like, oh, yes, this is me. When did he take this? And then he told me the story. I'm like, oh, that didn't work. And then I started the process. It came with its own struggles. But I told myself that I will not bribe anybody for anything. I'll do it my own way. If it doesn't work, God doesn't want me to be here. If it works, it is God's purpose. So my very last interview to come here, there were a lot of mistakes on my paperwork. And my uncle, who was my lawyer, who was a bad boy 10 pastor, told me that anytime he's doing something and he continues to make mistakes, it means God wants to have his way. So he prayed with me and he was like, just go and tell me the good. I'm like, uncle, everybody will see that this is so obvious. And then he was like, just go. I went, they didn't even look at it. Oh, did you bring? Okay, fine. Oh, yeah, good. Friday, come for the visits. That was it. And then he called me, tell me the bad news first, and then hit me with the good news. And I told him there's no bad news. There was all good news. Now, these things happened. We had frustrations having our first child. And then immediately we decided to come live here. The first child came. Now, it was to say that after 4 years or 5 years of getting married, trying to have kids, I said something to God that I'd forgotten. And God was just keeping to his word for my life. You asked for it, you have forgotten about it, but I'll make it come to pass. And when we got here, she took seed from nowhere. We spent so much money seeing doctors in Africa. At a point in time, they said I had low sperm count. I didn't even know what that was. I couldn't have kids. I'm like, okay, let's adopt. My spouse was like, no. And then from nowhere, suddenly, oh, she takes seeds. Oh, okay, we are not very sure, so let's wait and then be very, very sure. We went first there. They said, oh, it could be just anything. Just wait 3 months, come back again. It was a very, very grueling 3 months, just waiting to make sure that it was actually a baby. And suddenly, it was a first child. And then I was reminded that in my cry, in my anguish, I said something to God, and God just acted on it. So be careful in your frustrations. Be very careful the things that you say, because they will be the fruits that you would eat. So learn to speak the positive. Learn to speak life into your existence. I want to become a billionaire unapologetically. It doesn't have to come through a man. I don't have to sleep with somebody, a boss from somewhere. I don't need to seek favors from another man, or be sleeping and cooking for somebody without being married before I get to that point. And just trust God with the process. I continue mentioning this, trust God with the process, because trust me, if you don't rely on God, I don't know how you're going to make it. I really don't know. And God has a very funny way of testing us. He bring wild setbacks. You lose everything. Even your friends will not pick your calls again. And then at that point, like Job, you'd ask yourself, God, if this is not working, let me count on my connections. Mr. A and D said I should come and sleep with him and then everything will be fine. So possibly let me use that option, the hand of flesh. And you're trusting in man, you're cursed. That's what the Bible says. And definitely you're going to fail. So whatever be the case, trust God with the process. And be hungry. If you purpose to do something, if I want to set up a restaurant, you want to be so determined that when people are talking to you, they are so sure that no matter what we do, she's not going to stop with this idea. Be very hungry. When people come to me and they tell me they want to start a business, I tell them that I'm not going to take your money first. Intentionally, I'll not pick their calls. And then I just want to be sure. If I'm not very sure that, if I feel that you're just doing it because your friends are doing it, intentionally you call me, I'll not pick your calls. Intentionally you set dates, I'll cancel. And those that are determined, trust me, they will find you. Even if it's in the car park, they will chase you. And once I see that determination, I know that you know exactly where you're going. Because I'll not take your money, I'll not make you waste your resources when I know very well that, hey, this dream is not going to go far. You're just going to waste your time and resources. So be very hungry. You see, if you're not hungry, anything that comes your way, you fall for. But if you're hungry, if you don't have a job, you have bills to pay, or you are behind on your bills, your car is about to be... At the point in time, I wouldn't park my vehicle in front of my house, because if I do, Apple Federal will come for their car. Yes. So I had to go park at a friend's house, and then I'll walk to my house. But God has a funny way of dressing things, like Job. In his own time, everything comes back in multiple folds. as long as you keep trusting him. But if you follow the edges of man, trust me, you're going to fail. Okay? And the market with your targeted audience in mind, I've stated that. And then better be prepared for an opportunity than you're not. I've also stated that people that are hungry are relentless. People that are hungry are relentless. People that are hungry are determined. And people that are hungry are unstoppable. There are so many times that friends will tell me, hey, this is Ivo, go and do this. I'll go write the exams, I'll come back to exactly what I was doing again. And I stayed on the course. This is not something I did in school, but I was willing to make something out of it. I just trusted God with a purpose, and it came to pass. Success came with it. Be deliberate in your quest. Don't be apologetic when somebody tells you, are you a millionaire? And then you say, by God's grace, I'm getting there. No. Yes, I am, and I want more by God's grace. Be very purposeful in what you ask God, because exactly what you ask him, in his own time, he will make it come to pass. So if you tell God, God, just give me anything, possibly this will do. God will just give you anything. Trust me. And possibly it will not be what you want. So in asking God, in praying to ask God for exactly what you want for your future, be very direct. Father, this is what I want. If it is your will, let it come to pass in my life. And in his own time, he will make it come to pass in life. Don't make excuses. Don't think, oh, my friends will laugh at me, so I'll make excuses for today. And then tomorrow, let your no be your no. So if Mama Joyce knows you to be this person, I shouldn't know you to be somebody else when you are outside there. Because if I want to bless you, and she's told me that this daughter of mine is like this, and then I see you outside there be something else, you're confusing me. Now I'll come to Mama Joyce and say, Mama Joyce, but you said this daughter of yours is good at this, but then I interacted with them. They didn't even know who I was, and they showed me another part of who they were. I don't think she's who you think she is. You've lost an opportunity right there. If you are hot, be hot. If you are cold, be cold. If you are lukewarm, God will spew you. The same thing applies to businesses. If you are doing it, put everything in and do it well. Or don't do it at all. If you do it, oh, let me try. Maybe it would work, maybe it will not work. Trust me, you fail. So if you're doing it because, oh, don't even start. Look for something else that you feel God has put on your heart to do, and you'll be blessed. Follow people that are going in your directions. Listen to tapes. Listen to, in this day of audio, this day of YouTube, anybody. And I'm really obsessed with listening to people that have done it. Alibaba, Amazon, the Jeff Mahar for Alibaba, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, like all these people. I listen to their failures. I don't concentrate on their success stories. I concentrate more on their failures. And through their failures, I get to know a lot more than I would know just listening to their successes. Because through their successes, you don't know what their setbacks were. You don't know what their pitfalls are. But I listen to their failures, and they tell you what they didn't succeed, or where they were not successful, why they were not successful, and what they did to get them out of those pits. And by doing that, you become more knowledgeable of their processes, and it enhances your process too. So listen to tapes, listen to records. When you have the opportunity, let's not make it a time of gossips. Let's make it a productive time of sharing ideas, encouraging each other, lifting each other up. Hey, my sister, I learned that you're doing this. How is it going? I mean, Charlie, God bless you. If you need my help in any way, I'm a resource in this area. Come and I'll help you. That is the sort of networks you should be building. And not necessarily, hey, have you heard this man's husband has left him, or this person's wife is also there? No, that should not be the sort of conversations we have as women of purpose. We should have conversations that will steer us towards you ask yourself, who do you want your daughter to be when they get like you? You're looking at Oprah Winfrey and you're telling, I wish my daughter would grow to be like Oprah Winfrey. What investments are you making in your daughter? What examples are you setting for your daughter to get her to the point where Oprah Winfrey is? Are you spending a lot of time watching TV? Well, that is what they see you do. So definitely they are going to become TV watchers. Are you spending a lot of time doing things, being creative, like leading them in the right direction, exactly in that direction they would go? Okay? And then the last one, always try to get on top of life because the bottom is overcrowded. It is very lonely at the top. The 1% super rich, it's just 1% of the total world population that is super rich. They control almost everything in this world. And at that top, it is very lonely because people will look at you and why is he paying small taxes and stuff like that? Even my taxes is more than that. No. He did everything right. He's gotten to that point where he can write off a lot of liabilities. You can't do that. So yes, your taxes will be more than the super billionaire that you know. The bottom is overcrowded with so many people trying to start businesses that might fail. So many people confusing each other. So many people telling their bad stories to demoralize others that are trying to start. If you want advice, speak to the people that know the truth. Go to regulations. Go to offices that can give you the right directions and all that. Don't speak to people that are demoralizing, failing. Hey, my sister, I sold my house 2 years ago, and in fact, it wasn't a good story. So I won't advise you to do this. No. Talk to people that would encourage you, that will motivate you to be more in all things. And at the end of the day, just make God the crown of everything that you do. And once again, in His time, He'll make all things beautiful. I have little time. I'll stop here, and then I'll open the opportunity for questions to be asked. If you have any questions, I'm open to answer them now. Before I think I've overstayed my time. Before I hand over the mic, please. Yes. Okay. Thank you for the question. What's your name, please?
Howard Brown.
Howard. Thank you, Howard. Okay, so this is what I would say. I am more vested in regulations in this country. Africa, I'm not too good with regulations. So I can give you directions, or I can refer you to somebody else in our network that knows better in that area of the world to be able to direct you to do what you need to do. But I would say that I'm more vested in regulations in this part of the world more than in Africa. So if you need advice in that regard, definitely I would refer you to somebody else there that might be able to guide you to establish a business in Africa. I'm going to leave my cards, my business cards behind. And Mama Joyce also has my contact. She's going to put it on the screen. So everybody who would want to get in touch with me for one reason or the other pertaining to business can get in touch with me. Yes, please. My advice is both are good. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and then let it be a guide to your vision. That's why I stated from the very beginning, identify a vision, and your vision will guide your path. If you don't have a vision, you climb any ladder. But if you have a vision, you know that, well, at this point, I don't know this. Let me climb the ladder to learn what I need to know. And then at a point in time, I can start a business. I can tell you for a fact that it is very advantageous to own businesses in America, small businesses for that purpose. Because at the end of the day, there's so much. When it comes to taxes, your liabilities might be higher, but my tax liabilities might be very less, even though I make more. Because I have the opportunity to write off a lot on taxes. So I would advise, business is not for everybody. Now, that is where networking comes in. You have a strength, somebody else has the vision, somebody else is a leader. Can we team up and then create something? Me too, I'll do can always lead to failures. And you realize that we have a lot of talents in the room. If maybe this person and that person came together, they will form a business that will employ so many people in this room. If maybe that person and that person and that person came together, they have strengths that will complement each other, and they could easily become a formidable force. But because we all want to do it alone, we end up failing, and everybody ends up losing, because your gifts are not for you, they are for others to benefit from. Yeah. Yes?
Is it better to start a business of talent or business of idea?
Okay, so first of all, you have the idea, but you see, if you have a gift or if you have a talent, whilst I was sitting here, when the drummer was drumming, I was so fixated on him. Do you know why? It was effortless. The way he was, if I sit behind those same drums, trust me, I'm sure that you're going to suck me out of, you're going to ask me to leave. He made it look so easy, but what he was doing was complex. It's talent. He's done it so many times, I'm sure even in his sleep, he knows where the drums are. Because at a point in time, you could see that he closes his eyes, but he could still find where everything was to make melody. Now, with that talent, you never get tired. I sleep on the average 4 hours in a day. I go to work in the morning, my kids are on the bus, I go to work in the morning, and then during the day I'm moving about a lot. And then at 12 midnight, I get to my basement. My whole basement is an office. And that's when I write my reports. I write reports, if business setups are starting and I have to make an input, because I have subsidies in Africa too. So that is because when we are sleeping, they are awake. So that's when I also communicate with them. And that is when I do all that. It is very quiet, so I'm able to have that peace of mind to do it. At 4, I sleep. By 7, I'm up. And I start my day. There are sacrifices I have to make to get me to where I want to be. Now, I've told myself that at the age of 60, unapologetically, I don't want to work. I don't want to work when I get to 60. I want to retire comfortably, be at the beach somewhere, be reading graphic, and then be reading newspapers. I said graphic, I'm sorry. Be reading newspapers and enjoy my wealth. Just be moving my wealth around. Now, that is what I want to do. So right now, I'm putting in a lot of effort and time. I don't sleep. Now, that shouldn't be your story. Identify your strengths in line with your talent, and it will become so effortless. Things that people will do and say, oh, my brother, this is too much. I'm tired. I ain't do this again. My brother, if I stand you on this table, he can sell you. When it comes to marketing, he's very good. But when it comes to doing the things I do, he's extremely a failure. So identify your strength in line with your talent and make sure that you're making the best of it. That is my advice for you. Yeah. Yes, please. That is a very, very good question. Now, first of all, I'll say pray about it. Pray and then ask God to help you identify your talent. Your talent pretty much are things that you effortlessly do that nobody else around you can do easily. And then if you can ask God, God will direct you to find, some people have multiple talents. So if you can ask God, say your vision is to become the best seamstress. Ask God to help you identify your talent in line with that. And then once you identify it, let your vision be a guide. And then just continue going. And God will make things out of. Yes, please.
Hi, I have a question pertaining, what is your advice to, in terms of running businesses or joining businesses with friends? Would you suggest being co-owners, or do you suggest hiring? And what qualities? Because you mentioned people being good at things, but sometimes it takes more than somebody being good at something to be a good business partner. But what qualities would you say to look out for in terms of being a good partner other than talent?
Okay. Now, you know your friends, the people that will come close to you to say, let's start a business. You know them even before they come. Now, what I normally do when I started initially, after I'd failed a couple of times, what I started doing is that any time that I had to start a business, I start a seed process all by myself. And then I bring on friends with equity. Equity means that I've started a vision. The business belongs to me. Come, we'll share success, right? And then we have documents to capture all that. Human beings change. Today, you might not have money, you start a business, everybody's fine. Start making 100,000. You realize that everybody has a voice, and that alone can kill your business. So we call something operating agreements. So whenever you start businesses with friends, even if it is your brother, I would advise that you get somebody that's knowledgeable, possibly a lawyer, a CPA, to draft an operating agreement to bind you all. So everybody knows what they are doing, what contributions they're bringing on the table, how success is going to be shared. So at any given time, if I decide to leave, the rule will be that try selling to any of us first before you sell to an outsider. So there should be rules that govern your process so that it doesn't collapse the business once one person leaves. It's very, very common. So identify the strength. If I feel that I'm a leader, and a lot of you are leaders and you don't even know it. If I feel that I'm a leader, there's something. Bill Gates, pretty much he doesn't know how to do anything, but he's a good leader. He knows how to bring the right people in the right environment to maximize their efforts to make profits. Steve Jobs is the same thing. He was a dropout. He doesn't know how to do anything. His friend was the architect of the computers that they made. He knew how to bring people to the right places. When he came, he lost the company, came back. He brought the director of, the CEO of Coca-Cola. He came before he left. And then when the confusion happened and stuff like that, they kicked him out and he came back. He fired everybody, brought up a new crop of teams. And then he started from the scratch with them. Now, he was not very good at creating anything, but he was very good at being a leader and knew exactly who to put on his team to be successful. Now, you need to identify your strength. Are you a follower or a leader? Are you an enabler? There, we have category of people, so you should know your strength. If you're an enabler, you want to find somebody who is a strong leader, and then follow. Hey, dude, I want you to do this. I want you to take charge of that. I want you to follow this. I want you to man this. Now, if you're a leader, start the business, and then bring everybody else on with equity, meaning that I've written an agreement to share success with you. At any given time, if you're not meeting the ideals of the business, I have the right to fire you. And I'll just give you your portion of whatever is accrued for your equity, and I'll let you go. And then I'll continue with whoever I think is able to drive the vision, right? Now, if you feel that you are an enabler, it means that you'd have to identify with somebody who is a leader. There are strong cholerics that they'll do anything to make it work. There are phlegmatics who'll be like, anything would go with. There are sanguines who are the party of the house. Where everybody is, they want to bring joy, they want to bring laughter, everybody should be happy and all that. Identify everybody's temperament, identify their strengths, identify where they fall when it comes to being leaders, enablers or followers, and then put them in their right places to make your vision come true. Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One more question, because of time, and we have other speakers. So one more question, and that's it. Because these people they're working, so they have to get to and he's a busy man.
Yes.
You have a program for mentoring people?
Currently, no. But individually, I mentor a lot of people. So people who would want to know, would want to learn under me, I pretty much mentor them individually. I've helped quite a number of people start businesses around, and I continue to sort of follow up with them to make sure that they're doing the right thing. So they come to me when they have issues to make sure that they are going in the right direction and all that. So if you want to become one, once again, Mom has my number, has my details. I'm going to leave my business cards with them, with her, and then anybody who would want to get in touch with me can get in touch with me for that purpose, and then we'll see where to go from there. Right. Okay. Thank you. I'd want to say thank you. First, I'm so sorry, Mom. I'd want to say thank you for all you wonderful people being a part of this program. I'm privileged to share my birthday with you, and then to also share this few. I'm sorry I preached too long. I'm sorry. Anytime I'm given the microphone in my father's house, I become too comfortable. So forgive me for that. Thanks once again to Mama Joyce and then Pastor Israel for the wonderful things that they're doing here. It's a beautiful place and it's the right place to grow. Stay motivated and then keep doing the wonderful things that you do. All right. God bless you.
Thank you so much. I don't know about you guys. We have to bring him back. We have to bring him back. I learned a lot, and for sharing your experiences and sharing your birthday with us, because he's supposed to be talking about being with family. He's supposed to be with his family, enjoying his day, but he came to spend the day with us, and that's a selfless act. So once again we appreciate you, my brother, and like I said, we'll bring you back. I didn't know he was a preacher. I just thought about business with him. So next time we're bringing him back. Thank you so much. God bless you. Amen. So if anybody needs any more information, how to reach him, we will get that to you.